DemocracyNow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. An Israeli airstrike has killed a Palestinian and wounded at least one other in the Gaza Strip, marking the first fatal airstrike there since a ceasefire in November. The man in his 20s was identified as Haitham al-Mishal. The Israeli military said he was a militant involved in a rocket attack on Israel earlier this month. But a spokesperson for Gaza's health ministry said he was a Palestinian police officer. In an unrelated incident hours earlier, a Palestinian man reportedly killed an Israeli settler in the West Bank. It was the first Israeli death from Palestinian violence in the area since 2011. Syrian state television reports a massive explosion in the capital Damascus has killed 13 people and wounded scores of others. The origin of the attack was unclear, but Damascus has been a target of rebels seeking the ouster of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The blast came a day after Syria's prime minister survived an apparent assassination attempt in the city. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 6 people were killed in that attack, including the prime minister's bodyguard. The United Nations, meanwhile, seeking more concrete evidence to establish whether President Assad's government has used chemical weapons in its conflict with the rebels. While the United States and other countries say they believe the regime likely used the deadly nerve agent sarin, UN inspectors say the current evidence is not strong enough to meet its standard of proof. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon called on Syria to grant access to UN investigators so they can collect samples from alleged attack sites and victims.
I take seriously the recent intelligence report of the United States about the use of chemical weapons in Syria. On-site activities are essential if the United Nations is to be able to establish the fact and clear all the doubts surrounding this issue. A credible and comprehensive inquiry requires full access to the site where chemical weapons are alleged to have been used. I again urge Syrian authorities to allow the investigation to proceed without delay and without any conditions.
In Iraq, the death toll from a wave of car bombings in Shiite areas south of Baghdad Monday has reached at least 36. Well over 200 people have died in attacks and clashes in the past week since security forces raided a Sunni protest encampment. In Mexico, peace activists are calling on the United States to staunch the flow of assault weapons that are fueling its bloody drug war. An estimated 90% of guns used by Mexican drug gangs come from the United States. On Monday, demonstrators launched a motorized blimp with the hashtag Goodbye to Arms as they delivered a petition with more than 18,000 signatures to the U.S. Embassy calling for greater curbs on weapon sales. Among them was Mexican poet Javier Cecilia, whose son was murdered by drug traffickers.
If this isn't on the bilateral agenda, if it isn't a priority, together with the issue of drug regularization and a serious policy concerning money laundering, then it won't be possible to end the horror Mexico is living in.
President Obama is due to visit Mexico on Thursday, Costa Rica on Friday. The European Commission has voted to impose a continent-wide ban on pesticides believed to be seriously harmful to bees. Some 2.6 million people had signed a petition to ban the pesticides that may poison bees, disrupt their normal behavior, and make them more vulnerable to disease. The bee population has seen a dramatic decline in recent years. In Utah, a woman's facing charges under the state's so-called ag-gag law for filming a slaughterhouse from a public street. Journalist Will Potter reports Amy Myers, the first person in the country to face prosecution under the wave of state laws, which critics say are designed to muzzle proof of animal cruelty by criminalizing undercover filming at farms and slaughterhouses. Myers said in a statement, quote, "I'm shocked and disappointed that I'm being prosecuted simply for standing on public property and documenting horrific animal abuse while those who perpetrated these acts are free to continue maiming and killing animals, she wrote. The slaughterhouse where Meyer filmed happens to be owned by Daryl Smith, the mayor of Draper City, where it's located. A new study shows the racial wealth gap in the United States has increased, according to the Urban Institute. The average white family was 6 times wealthier than the average African-American or Latino family in 2010, up from 5 times wealthier 3 decades ago. The average wealth of whites was $500,000 more than the average wealth of African-Americans or Latinos. An NBA player, Jason Collins, has disclosed he's gay, becoming the first openly gay male athlete who's still active in a major U.S. team sport. In a Sports Illustrated cover, Collins wrote, quote, "If I had my way, someone else would have already done this. Nobody has, which is why I'm raising my hand," he said. Collins' move comes years after numerous female professional athletes have made similar announcements, including tennis champ Martina Navratilova, who tweeted Monday, quote, "Well done, Jason Collins. You're a brave man. 1981 was the year for me. 2013 is the year for you." And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Aaron Mate. Welcome to our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world.
Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.